Hey guys, here again with another Shirogorov knife. Today we have in front of us the Custom Vision NeOn NL. Now, the Custom Vision NeOn NL debuted in 2019 and was first available in America at California Custom Knife Show in October of that year. And it's really a continuation of the NeOn Damasteel, also known as the NeOn Mk2, in terms of the styling and again that kind of flow of features from and styling from the Sergey's full customs to the Custom Division line. However, since that time, in 2018, when the NeOn Damasteel had been released, we've seen a production knife, the NeOn Zero. And the NeOn Zero had some refinements and some design changes compared to that NeOn Damasteel that we also see here in the NeOn NL, since again this knife had been released after the production NeOn Zero release. Because of that, I think Sergey kind of wanted to consolidate on the design of the Neons, and of course, since that blade had been refined and finalized for the production knife, we again see a similar blade shape here, but the handle is largely borrowed from the NeOn Damasteel. Again, we had also had a NeOn NL released, which was a more budget-conscious version of the NeOn Zero that replaced the NeOn Ultralight, and we see that inlay shape being utilized here as well. So this knife has a very storied background when you take a look at it compared to its NeOn predecessors. We'll go over all those features today, but first let's take a look at the size of the knife and do a quick comparison. Again, really not too much to go over since this knife is pretty much exactly the same size as a NeOn Zero. And so what that means is you have a cutting length of 3.5 inches, an overall length of 7 3/4 inches, and a handle length or close length of just a tad over 4 1/4 inches. Taking a look at the weight, you can see here that being 3D contour titanium, having the zirconium accents here and for the hardware is going to increase the weight a little bit, but let's take a look and see how much. We're looking at 3.14 ounces, which again is not very heavy for a knife at all, given the NeOn size. But when you compare it to the a NeOn Zero, or this is a retro with just a little bit more milling here, you can see that we're looking at 2.8 ounces. So about 0.4 ounce weight difference here. Taking a look at the blade, you can see that we have S110V steel here, which is, I believe, a first for the Custom Division team when this knife first came out. S90V had been the go-to steel for non-Damasteel blades, and it's really nice to see. It was really nice at the time to see this steel being used, or any just new steel being used on a Custom Division. S110V, of course, is a bump up in S90V, which adds additional wear resistance and edge retention, which is really nice, especially how you would want to use the NeOn, this being a smaller knife that would be perfect for office carry or light EDC task. I would really much rather have that edge retention. We've seen S110V also being used recently in the 111 Deep Space for 2021, but we also haven't seen S90V being phased out. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the F3NS Custom Vision with titanium handles and that laser engraved blade is still using S90V. So it's interesting to see both steels being used right now in the Custom Division lineup. Now, of course, we have that more refined stonewash finish on the blade here on the primary bevel. But as you can see here, the NeOn Zero blade profile is being used here on this knife. There are some nicer features such as the satin finish on the blade flats, which is very Custom Division-esque. And we do also have some nice finishing touches here on the jimping of the blade spine, here, and also on the flipper tab. You can see that it's actually much better finished. The valleys and the jimping have also been polished to have a more uniform finish, as opposed to on a production knife where you can see the marks or kind of rough marks that are left behind from the water jetting or EDM, however they're using to cut the blade or the blade jimping here. Same on the flipper tab as well. So again, just like many other aspects for custom division knives, everything is just much more refined when you compare it to the production. We also have these nice beautiful swedges here that we see in the normal production NeOn Zero as well. And just kind of a side note, I think it's really cool how the NeOn Zero really borrows heavily from the blade profile of the F7. The F3NS also uses a similar blade profile, but you can see here with the drop, the kind of the secondary drop here, the blade profiles are very similar when you compare it to the custom F7. That is when you take a look at it compared to, say, a normal F95, where the drop is much more gradual without that kind of secondary drop that happens around this point right here. We'll take a look at this knife in a later video. But going back to the NeOn Zero, NeOn NL, taking a look at the handle here, you can see that we have zirconium pivot collar that is done in this kind of more subdued, I don't want to say blasted, but it doesn't have the same sheen that the NeOn Damasteel pivot collar has, even though it's the same material. I want to say that they probably left the zirconium raw off of the mill, which gives it that kind of shiny satin effect. But here you can see it's much more subdued, perhaps maybe blasted or tumbled. The waves that we have here is this radial milling that kind of originates kind of from this point down here off the knife, where you can see the waves are continuous and they are spaced relatively similarly across the knife. This milling pattern is borrowed exactly off of the NeOn Damasteel from 2018. And it's a lovely texture. It feels, significantly different than the silk, being much wider. And I think it's quite unique given that we really don't see anything similar, at least on any other knives. A close one would be the R.J. Martin Russian Overkill collaboration, but nothing like this on any other custom division knives, if I'm not mistaken, besides the NeOn NL and the NeOn Damasteel custom division knives. Moving back here, we have an inlay of carbon plate marble carbon fiber. This is their tighter weave pattern, which I think in the right light looks almost like carboquartz being so dense. Really interesting carbon fiber here, and just the amount of layers and how tight the kind of weave is for the marble makes it look really nice at certain angles. The epoxy has this nice kind of sheen to it as well. Again, we have the logo here in the pommel area, which is pretty much standard now for NeOns. You really don't see it on the front here like you do with the M95 since there is no room. But moving on to the back side here, you can see that there have been some subtle changes compared to the NeOn Damasteel. First is this cutout here that has been shaped differently when you compare it to the NeOn Damasteel. I believe the NeOn Damasteel is more rectangular, that is rounded off at one end. And also the clip design has been changed as well. With the release of the NeOn Zero, you can see that the clip is almost identical in design, just with that kind of radial milling being done on the inside of the clip here. But you can also see the clip position has changed as well, how it's more inset into the knife. Personally, I don't think it looks as nice as on the older NeOns, where it goes all the way to the end of the handle. It's kind of this chamfer here kind of matches with the lines of the edge of the handle. But it is interesting to note that the NeOn Damasteel, which had a similar handle design and milling, did have a clip similar to the original NeOn like this. But the NeOn NL here, again, is having that NeOn Zero style clip, which is a little bit inset and has a different design as well. And moving on the back here, you can also see we have a zirconium screw. That again is done in that more subdued kind of blasted finish, as opposed to a more satiny, shiny one on the NeOn Damasteel. And same thing goes for the back spacer too. We have a nice I think this one this area is the most prevalent, where you can kind of see the difference between the zirconium being used on the NeOn NL and the NeOn Damasteel custom division knives. The NeOn Damasteel zirconium hardware does look a little bit, has a nice kind of shinier and blacker zirconium finish as opposed to this right here, which is more matte and dull. One thing to note is that although the back spacer does have a very similar design to the production Neon Zero, where the blade sits perfectly in the middle of it, the back spacers are not identical. And on the Neon Zero, it is a little bit shorter, that kind of area that houses the blade. You can see here on the Neon NL, and also on the custom division Neon, we have a much larger design. But even here on the custom Neon, you can see that the back spacer, while similar, it's not exactly the same. So the parts indeed are not interchangeable. But again, taking a look here, you can also see we have an external lock bar cutout, which is, again, this is one of the first knives that have had external lock bar cutouts, and it was really kind of a shift in the trend when you compare it to older knives, which tend to have the lock bar cutout on the inside, or if they were to be on the outside, would have kind of more of a less, it would be not as deep, where the majority of the cutout would be on the inside. A good example here are icebreakers, which again we'll talk about in a later video. You can see the difference in the lock bar cutout. This knife right here really is one of the first to start that trend of the external lock bar cutout as well. And indeed, on the NeOn Mk2 NeOn Damasteel from 2018, the lock bar cutout, I believe, was not on the outside. I might be wrong on that, however. Take a look on the inside. You can see that there is full internal milling that actually does, kind of hard to capture this, but kind of does go all the way through the handles, so you can see the carbon fiber from the inside. It's actually quite nice how the carbon fiber inlay is milled, because on the opposite side, there are kind of these protrusions that fit into the milled windows of the handle to kind of index the inlays, and just kind of to show, I think really to show off the precise machining that Shirogorov does on these knives. So actually, let me see if I can grab a light here. Actually, I don't have a light, unfortunately, so I just have to trust my word for it. But it's really cool to see full skeletonizations on a knife with inlays, since on the production knives, the knives with inlays don't have the window, have the kind of cutout for the inlay fully skeletonized. That's pretty much it for this knife right here. The features that you all kind of, or not features, but kind of quirks of the Neon Zero, such as the clip tension, they are present on this as well. I've noticed that this clip style that the Neon Zero has presents much more tension than the old style Neon clip. But overall, I really love the contouring of this knife. The 3D contouring really kind of fills out your hand. The Neon, a lot of people complain, is a very thin knife. So having 3D contouring and then inlays on top of that stand a little bit proud of the handles makes for a very, very nice grip and feel in the hand. The jimping, again, I'm really not a fan of. I really don't like this wide style jimping. I think it really doesn't do anything for the aesthetics, and is really disappointing when you compare it to previous generation Neons, or at least the production ones that did have jimping. But overall, it's really cool to see the Neon design kind of progress, even so rapidly within this 2-year time frame, with the NeOn Damasteel Mk2 and now the Neon Zero here. So it's been a while actually since we've seen a new custom vision Neon, so hopefully we'll see some more design changes as well. But probably not. With the new 111 release, it looks like Sergey's kind of focusing on other areas, especially since the Neon Zero was one of the first knives to get revised. But again, I would really say that this is most properly a custom division variant of the NeOn Zero. The NeOn Mk2 kind of had some interesting funky blade shapes. The blade flat was wider and curved here as compared to the blade profile here, which is exactly the same as on the NeOn Zero. So again, it's really cool to see how those changes kind of manifested itself in the timeline in which it did. And for any serious neon collector, I definitely would recommend this knife. It makes a great carry, and I really prefer that S110V mono steel blade over the one on the on the NeOn Damasteel Mark II. So it really, if I had to pick a neon to kind of use and to have in my collection, it would definitely be this one, at least for right now. That's pretty much it, and hope you guys enjoyed this video, and hope to see you guys next time. Have a great day.